Good evening, everybody. And tonight, these candidates here are vying for your first preference vote in the Kirikiriroa Maori ward for the Hamilton City Council. But with every election, there's one thing stepping in their way, and that's your vote. Okay, I'm hoping we can hear me now. Okay, so we'll get back into there. I think someone hit a mute key when they shouldn't have hit it in there. But yes, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's It's in the Ballot show here from the All Saints Community Church in our good old Kirikiriroa Hamilton home. And how are our candidates feeling tonight? Nervous? You can chime in. Your mic's alive. I hope we've all got in there. So let's kick off with opening statements. And Horiana, you get to go first.
Kia ora e te whānau, ko Horiana Henderson tōku ingoa, he uri o Maniopoto, Raukawa ki te tonga, Tūwharetua, Taranaki, kai Tahuahai. I grew up in Fairfield. My whānau, my husband and our 3 sons, we live in Te Papanui, Claudelands. We love our home. We know that everyone in our neighbourhood is connected. We want to serve our community. In 2022, I stood as a mayoral candidate. I came third after our elected mayor and then deputy mayor. I spoke 3 times in council in defence of the Māori ward, and when it was established, I stood as an East Ward candidate in the hope that we might have one more Māori representative around that decision-making table. I love te tiriti, and I know that a fiscally responsible council that honours te tiriti will protect us all and will enhance the well-being and prosperity of all of us. We need to vote whānau. We hikoi, we protest, we need to vote too. Ko Horiana Henderson tōku ingoa. I hope that you'll give me your number 1 vote for Kirikiriroa Maori ward.
Thank you. Danielle.
Tēnā tātou katoa I te whare nei me te ipurangi hoki. Ko ai au, ko Danielle Marks tōku ingoa, he mokopuna au o te arawa tainui tū whare toa Fiji Tonga hoki. He takatāpui ahau, he rangatahi ahau. Kia ora. My name is Danielle Marks. I'm really excited to be a fresh voice on our Hamilton City Council. I have the experience of working in local government as a rangatahi representative and also working towards iwi aspirations. Working at Waikato Regional Council, Rotorua Lakes Council, and with the Living Wage Movement, they have given me the opportunities and to understand the way that local government works and how we can actually create change that sees our people who are directly affected come to the forefront of the decisions being made. Our aspirations for rangatahi must include rangatahi. We have been neglected in the city and have yet to be heard in a way that has actual, true meaning and impact. These things are all possible when you have the political will to do so, and I definitely have that. That is why you should rank me number 1 for this by-election. Vote Marks number 1 this time, this year.
Okay, next up, Maria. No, no, that's not on my sheet.
We're going to skip? Okay.
It's not a skipping thing. I have a random order sheet.
Oh,
We don't do left to right here at It's in the Ballot. We throw everything in all sorts of weird directions.
Tūtawa mai runga, tūtawa mai raro, tūtawa mai roto, tūtawa mai waho, kia taua e te Māori tū, te Māori ora ki te katoa. He tika kia tuku ngā whakamoimuti ki a rātou mā, kia whakapā i te ihu o te rangi ki te ihu o te whenua me te whakatau, i te tī, i te tā, kua tai mai ki roto i te whare karakia o hato anaru, waihoki koutou e mā takitaki mai ana. Ko tōku ingoa, ko Maria te aukaha huata, he moko puna hau no Ngāti Kahungunu, no Ngāti Apukura, Waikato Maniapoto, Ngāti Porou, me Ngāti Whakauwe. Welcome everybody into our whare of St. Andrews, and it's only right that we send our blessings to those that are looking after us up there in this time of matariki. I'd also like to mihi to everyone that's in the whare at the moment, and also to our crew of It's in the Ballot for putting on this event. And most importantly, my fellow Māori kura that are here holding the line and holding the space and giving it their all wherever and whenever they can. I am standing as a candidate for Kirikiriroa. And is that a button? 1 minute buzz. Okay, there's 3 main kaupapa that I'm here for. Tuatahi ake, he kai, he wai, he ahuru mōwai. Food, shelter, and clean water for all. What brings me here is my whānau, is my ancestors, and my love for H-Town Kirikiriroa. Tēnā koutou.
And while we're back on the random list, Donna.
Tēnā koutou katoa, nā me inu kia koutou, e hui mai nei. I'd just like to tautoko the kōrero that's been shared tonight. And it's amazing to see all our marae kura out here. We could actually be at home with our mokopuna and our tamariki, but no, we're here tonight. And I think that's really important, that if you vote somebody on, they're going to show up. They're going to show up for you. And what I can say is I've always shown up. I've been showing up for the last 30 years. I've been in and out of councils doing submissions. I've been challenging central government because there's central as well as local government. We can't forget what's happening at central government level. We've been fighting for our Māori wards, and if we don't come out in force with this by-election, we could lose it. So whānau, I really want to push and say, get your whānau out there. Go and get your kazi. Go and get your auntie. Go get your uncle. Go and get your nana and your koro. Help them out. Help them to fill out the ballot forms and then take them to the post office, because if we don't use it, we're going to lose it. And I've got much more to say, and I'm looking forward to our kōrero tonight. Kia ora.
Okay, and Marion.
E aku mātua, e aku tūpuna, e aku karanga maha, kia ora hui mai tātou i tēnei pō. Ko Mary Riri tōku ingoa, he uri ahau no Waikato tūhui me Raukawa hoki. The 3 priorities that I'm standing for to hold the council responsible for upholding its Te Tiriti obligations, including fighting hard to keep our Māori wards. Secondly, it's to improve access options for our whānau in terms of safe and affordable housing, and thirdly, to empower our collective Māori capability to really step into our greatness as Māori and the mana we already hold, and to lean in together during this particular season of change that we're currently transitioning through. So one of the things and the reasons that I'm standing, like all of our Māori kura here, is our love for our people, and also because I see the Māori ward role as an opportunity to make a difference for our people as well, and to be a voice inside of council. I've worked in iwi Māori for a long time with Wainui and Raukawa, so I have experience working with councils at the governance, policy and strategy level, but also have built a lot of relationships. And there's a time to fight, but there's also a time to build relationships as well. I think that's critical in terms of what we're facing around Māori wards. We need the whole of Kirikiriroa to vote for our Māori wards. So kia ora.
Thank you for that. Okay, let's get to the fun part of opening the boxes. And I've got a lovely questionnaire here. Marariki, thank you for filling in at the last minute. It's been, as I can describe, skeleton crew, skeleton everything I think that could be the theme we could say with the show is it's skeletons, skeletons, skeletons.
Make it work.
Yeah, so want to check. All the boxes are sealed?
Yes.
Okay, so let's kick off. Marion, you get to choose the first box number.
I'm going to pick lucky number 13.
Bear with me while I open them.
That's all right.
Cool. That's why we have a chair.
It's all right. The fun part is now we find out what box number it is. God, that's jinxed it on the number 5.
So the question number we have is G for goats. And let me know when I'm good. Sweet. So, while initiatives like Pātaka Kai can't eradicate poverty, they do provide for the community. Should these and other grassroots initiatives receive council funding, what other initiatives would you put forward?
So the short answer to that is yes. So yes, I do think that we should support it. We've got a cost of living crisis on our hands at the moment. So these particular kaupapa help to support whānau who may be experiencing those challenges. And I think more of those initiatives, and really any initiative that supports whānau wellbeing, community wellbeing, economic resilience, and also cultural revitalisation. So really supporting mana whenua initiatives and mātāwaka initiatives as well that contribute to that as well.
Okay, we have a button from Maria.
Kia ora, I thought I'd use my button card nice and early because this is one of the things that I'm also campaigning for is kai, food for all. So some of the actual initiatives on the ground that I'd like to see be inputted into our city of Kirikiriroa H-Town is educating people about growing their own mara in the city. I've lived in 3 different suburbs across Kirikiriroa, and before I met my husband, I knew nothing about growing a garden. All you need is a small piece of grass. And literally we've lived in Melville, in Pamela Place. We grew all sorts of different kai there. We lived in Chartwell, we grew kai there, and now we live in the city behind the stadium, and we also grow kai there. So education that way, educating our whānau to be able to know that they can, as long as they've got a little piece of grass, and if they don't, then turning to those initiatives within the city, like community gardens. Also, kai collection. Kai collection, you see our rākau laden with fruit that is not being used, especially in this time of winter, with the different seasons. So our kai, making something out of that and giving it back to the community and teaching tikanga like preserving and rongoa as well.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. Danielle, what box number?
That was rude because 13 was my number when I played basketball. That was going to be my first choice, so I'll go with 19.
Now, what's good and special about number 19? Is it your letterbox number?
It's my birth date.
In the same context, mine would be 22. So I know what you mean.
And we have question letter T for teeth.
Yeah, that works.
Sweet. Are you prepared to support unpopular but necessary levels of rate increases in order to ensure the financial viability of council, instead of voting for lower rate increases in the interests of your own re-election prospects at the expense of future councils being able to fund infrastructure maintenance and upgrades?
Long question, short answer, yes. I was in favour for increasing rates because our councils have historically under-resourced a lot of our infrastructure. Now we're seeing a lot of, with climate change happening, we're seeing a lot of our infrastructure being degraded, and we still don't have the money to better protect and future-proof our communities. So yes, I think the people that would elect me would be, in favour of being, rubbing the status quo.
Okay, and we have a button from Donna.
Kia ora anō. For me, this is a really good question because rates have different layers and you have a uniform rate. So for me, getting rid of the uniform rate to put more putia in our whānau, so you know, coming from Norton, been there for over 20 years, there's a $500 uniform rate, which goes across whether you come from the wealthier side of town or the poorer side of town. And if we can look at putting that uniform rate back into people's pockets, that will go a long way to dealing with some of the issues that these communities have. And I want to say that because rates pay for a lot of the upkeep, new footpaths, new roads, parks. And what we've seen in Norton is our roads and footpaths haven't been upgraded in the same way that other wealthier communities have. It's really important that rates are fair, and that if we take away the uniform rates, there's more money in the pocket for our whānau. Kia ora.
Can I butt in?
Go ahead. Yep.
As a 2022 mayoral candidate, I campaigned against the $36 million walk cycle bridge due to it being fiscally irresponsible, non-essential, and at a gold standard. I'm glad to see that it was taken off council's books and its funds reallocated to critical infrastructure. But why did it take so long? That our current council was prioritising a gold standard, non-essential over critical, is why we're now paying $150,000 a day on interest only and have 100% rates increase over the next 5 years. If I'd been on council earlier, I would have been opposing gold standard and non-essentials and pushing for fiscal prudence and prioritising critical infrastructure.
Now, just want a point of clarification. When you said uniform rate, Donna, that is basically the base rate.
It's $500.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a base rate. So basically, yeah. Which, from what I know, is usually every property would pay, say, a fixed charge on for the sewerage, a fixed charge on waters, and then you
and then
pay.
we have a uniform rate. So there are
Yeah.
different layers of rates, and what I'm saying is to get rid of the uniform rate for the poorer community. What I'm saying is get rid of the uniform rate for our poorer communities and invest more in those communities. Like I say, footpaths, roading, parks. I mean, we've seen our park being demolished, and so where are our tamariki going to play when you just start demolishing our parks and you build these swanky multi-million-dollar parks in the wealthier suburbs? So I've been fighting this for many, many years for equity actually in our rates, because we all pay rates, and whether you're renting or paying rates, you're still paying rates. So to start with, I'd like to have the debate around the uniform rate that everyone has to pay.
God, 2025 is going to be a very interesting year. Maria, what box number?
Let's go for the number of children that I have. Waru, 8.
Woo. I'd love to know your secrets on cooking for big numbers. I did that for the tauranga when we were doing the tauranga elections. I did the breakfast, so I know the feeling of trying to cook for 6 people. But you can probably tell me how to stretch it from 6 to 8.
I bet you that we could all tell you as Māori how to make $20 stretch to 20 people.
We have question letter A for Afi. So what is your perspective on fluoridation of Hamilton's water?
Why is something also I'm passionate about, and one of the things I'm really pushing, should I get into council? The problem is not about the fluoride. The problem is that we don't have clean, fresh water. So we're forced to fluoridate our water to at least get it to some kind of standard that we can use it and drink it. But it's not ideal. In an ideal world, we would have a clean river, a clean awa. We would not need to put fluoride in it.
Okay. Donna, what box number?
Number 2, please. Just random number.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, you know, if you can't get your number ones, don't you want to get the second preference votes?
And we have question letter Q for Queen. Would you have supported the 16.5 rate increase that was recently accepted in the long-term plan?
No, in short.
Okay, Huriana.
Can I please have 25?
Oh yes, the good old age when your insurance excess drops on car insurance. I know. It's quite good actually. Yeah.
And we have question letter W for Wera. What alternative revenue streams can you suggest that council explore to avoid raising rates by an even higher amount?
Council was a bit quick to waive the DCs, developer contributions. For example, there was 100% remission on 6-story buildings in the CBD. And so when our debt levels are really high, then we need to be looking at the developers paying their contribution to our city coffers.
Okay. That was quick, easy. Sorry, technical talk that happened in the background, so I missed the whole answer myself, but that's all good. Maria, what box number to get the next round?
Let's go for Rua Te Kaimātahi. 21.
Got me thinking there. Yes.
And we have question letter J for Joey. Should the Hamilton City Council remain part of the LGNZ, Local Government New Zealand collective?
Absolutely. Anything and everything that we do in our lives is about connections. It's about relationships. It's about networking. So it serves us to be a part of those wider groups and bodies where we can lean on, also offer advice and take examples from what other local governments are doing throughout the motu.
Okay. Next up, Marion, what box number?
Number 7, please.
And it's question letter AB, like the All Blacks, I guess. What steps will you take to make sure our local government is transparent and accountable?
I'm going to defer that. I'm going to defer it to Horiana. Do I need to put my card up?
Oh, I think we kind of got the message on that one.
Okay. It's all about kōrero, right? So the people clearly, with our 3,000 submissions to council, the people want to talk to council, but they need to be heard. So everybody, time is precious. So council needs to really value our time, but getting out into the community, we had the opportunity to go to Hukanui Marae and meet with our whānau there. Ngā mihi kia koutou katoa, Ngāti Wairere, and to our other whānau at different places, Awawa and different places like that. All our whānau want to have kōrero with council. Council needs to be coming to them, not always expecting them to come to council.
Okay, and Horiana, what box number?
What? It's like, is it a trick one?
And we have question letter B for Bravo.
Oh, that's definitely with the phonetic alphabet.
It might be the only one. How do you propose to improve engagement and participation with the council in non-online spaces?
So I just said, taking council to the people and listening to the people, valuing, respecting their time, and then making sure that what we hear from the people is what we're talking about at council.
Okay, and we have a button from Donna.
I think this is a great question because, like I said, I've been living in Norton for over 20 years, over in Norris Street for about 10 or so years. And how you get our community engaged is you invest in our community. If you don't invest in our community, then it's saying that council is ignoring our community. And like I mentioned before, roads, parks, it's not just that, it's the resources being shared out. So I think it's a great question. And start investing in our community, you might see more engagement. Kia ora.
And while keeping your mic there, what box number, Donna?
Okay, 20, please.
Oh yes, the drinking age until, when was it? The mid-90s? It's all right. When Grandma first voted in 1949, the voting age was still 21.
I remember that age as a university student and waiting for that age. And then they lowered it to 18.
God, that's awful.
And we have question letter E for Elephant. Do you support income limits for council staff? Do you support a starting income that sits in line with the living wage?
Oh, I absolutely support the living wage. We had a transport company for over 15 years, and we actually paid our staff more than we paid ourselves. Hannah, I don't think you even got paid at all, but anyway, and we paid them a living wage. So it's so important. You lead by example. Kia ora.
Danielle.
Speaking of basketball, I will throw it to 14, Troy Bolton's number. Who's Troy Bolton? Oh my gosh. I apologize to all rangatahi listening to this. High School Musical.
And Breaking Free. And we have question letter R for right. What recent or future projects would you cancel to improve the council's financial situation, and what projects would you propose?
The thing that's top of mind at the moment, and especially because it's affecting a lot of my mates from uni, is the fact that we've had a bit of a staff cut that has happened, especially for our lower kai mahi in the advisor roles. And I think that it's really difficult to kind of say that cutting staff means that we're saving money when it's only about $11 per household, not even per individual in Kirikiriroa. So I think that was a bit of a decision that is negatively impacting our communities, especially when I think of our university friends who have just graduated, coming out of lockdowns, and they try and get a job and they land a really awesome job caring for our city, and then their jobs are cut. So yeah, that's something that I've been keeping close in, especially all around the motu, even nationally with all our kaimahi who are facing job cuts at the moment. So.
And just for those at home wanting to know, we've gone through 10 questions and I'm impressed with the speed.
Wow.
Okay, Donna, what box number?
17 are talking at me.
Oh, yes. I know that date's special to me. That was the day I was meant to be due on. Yes.
And we have question letter D for Dad. What is your response to Hamilton West MP and Minister for Conservation Tama Potaka's statement that saving every species from extinction is aspirational and that it would cost maybe trillions to do so?
Well, one of his colleagues also said that slums are a home for someone else. So I don't have a lot of respect for what's coming out of the government at the moment. I think they're a little bit out of touch in what's happening in the community. If we all put our kaitiaki potai on, you know, we would be the first ones to be there to protect our waterways, to protect our biodiversity, and my husband, who's from Te Puaha o Waikato, all the paruparu ends up down his way, and so once upon a time he could drag for whitebait and get 30 a drag, and now he's lucky, or 15 years ago when he last dragged, he was lucky to get 3. So that's an indicator that our tupuna isn't doing really well. So by taking that stance, is not doing anything for Papatūānuku, and especially for our marae and for our people who live off.
And we have button from Marion.
Yeah, so support Donna's kōrero, and I do agree with Minister Potaka on one point, is that it is aspirational and it's morally imperative as well. So if we don't set those aspirations and what can happen and what has happened, is that it's completely destructive on our taiao. So we need to have really strong kaitiaki measures in place and biodiversity measures in place, so that over time we can make improvements, ensure that development is sustainable. But we absolutely, it has to be aspirational.
Okay, Danielle, what box number?
Oh gosh, there's so many numbers. Is 24 still available?
Well, that is the last 2 numbers of the year.
It's Kobe Bryant's number. Yes, thank you.
And we have question letter H for Haere. Is there a significant barrier between what the council does and how the average resident understands the function of council? If so, how would you improve the understanding and transparency of the council for residents?
Absolutely, there is a significant barrier. The reason I ended up with a politics degree was because I didn't know what I was meant to do with my vote in the local government and central government elections. And especially for someone like myself who's quite passionate about local government and having to have conversations every 3 years with rangatahi about why our buses in Hamilton are actually operated by Waikato Regional Council and not by Hamilton City Council. And Hamilton City Council only deals with the bus lanes and bus stops. I think the most important thing is about having people who are actually connected to their communities on council, so that when we have these issues that come up, and because decisions happen every day that we're not aware of, we need to make sure that these people who end up around the table actually get out to their communities, not relying on just our kaimahi at council, but actually being the face of council in our community. So I think, yeah, again, to reiterate kind of what Horiana's already said about actually going out to our communities, not expecting them to come to council. Going on.
Certainly can relate to that, being myself as part of the reason why the show got started was being a candidate who stood for council and half the people didn't know what they were on about. Now we've got a button from Maria.
I feel morally we're all on the same page, and what people out there in the community are actually looking for real solutions. So when we think about this, how do we get councils to engage, especially for our rangatahi, especially for our underrepresented people who don't even care to vote because they think that their vote doesn't count? We need to start them young. We need to have the conversation at the tables, at having kai. We need to bring them along to these different kinds of things. We have Paige, we have my tamariki here as well. We need to start mentoring and socializing that. And if you don't have a mentor, find someone. Why not make it a part of the school curriculum? Why not have a mayor for the day or a councillor for the day, something like that, that we actually can bring tamariki, and not necessarily the ones that are doing good at school, the ones that probably need it the most, that never get to go on the school trips. That's what I would do on a real day-to-day basis.
Okay. Buttoned again? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I get two, eh?
Yes, you get to. Yeah, no, sorry. I was like, and then I realised, oh no, it was Danielle who was the one who was on there, because I'm just looking at the name on the list because I've got Horiana lined up for the next one as my making sure I don't skip someone.
Kapai. In terms of what I've found in my experience with engagement with our whānau is that we really need to simplify the language of council so that a lot of our whānau don't even know what, if I ask my baby, what's council, she wouldn't have a clue. And when you go out and then you engage with our whānau, they don't know either, because we talk in a language that's really complicated and we just need to simplify it. That's like a big start that we could do. So when you actually talk to whānau about what council is and let them know, do you know it impacts every part of your life if you live here locally? But talk to them in terms of when you take your jug and fill it up with water from that tap to have a cup of tea, that council looks after that. Or, flushing toilets and, playing on those parks where your kids play rugby league or rugby or touch or whatever, the council control that. So it's talking in simple but relatable language, so that that's the biggest thing to connect. Do that too. I think we'd have a greater turnout for voting because they can connect with it.
Yeah. And something I remember from being a kid, I knew what a mayor was. I didn't know what the hell a councillor was. And actually worse, when I first came to vote, I knew STV off the back of my hand, but I had no clue who to vote for beyond the mayor. I had no clue what the DHB was. I had no clue really what the community boards were, councillors at large and ward councillors, because of the election I was voting in. But I remember that was my first voting process, because all I knew about was the mayor. And if you watch The Simpsons, it's Joe Quimby. If you watched Mars, there was another mayor. You might have in the TV soaps, you might see a mayor, but you didn't really hear about, unless you watched Keeping Up with Appearances, you wouldn't know who a councillor was. And I don't know if I even watched Keeping Up with Appearances going through there. It's like, it's bouquet, the T's silent. Yeah. Now, Horiana, we're finally getting down to you. What box number?
Can I have 26, please?
And we have question letter N for neighbour. How would you protect and enhance the many different diverse communities of Kirikiriroa Hamilton, especially Takatapui, refugee, and other marginalised communities?
Kia ora e te whānau. The Kirikiriroa Maori Ward exists to bring a Maori voice to the decision-making table. While I have aroha for refugees and other disadvantaged communities, when, for example, 170 whānau are currently living in emergency housing, when mana whenua Ngāti Wairere tell us that this by-election is the first time candidates have been to meet them at their marae, ensuring that these issues are addressed must be my first priority. Māori have proven with te tiriti and through the values of whakawhanaungatanga, manaakitanga, aroha, that we care about our diverse communities and whānau. And I don't see any of that changing, and I want to demonstrate that if I'm elected a councillor. Kia ora.
And we've got a button from Danielle.
Yeah, this is a really great question, especially today at the settlement centre on Boundary Road, that they were initially going to have artwork that displayed Israeli artwork that was in actually colonised Palestinian stuff. And I think our council needs to actually take a stand on issues like Palestine, like the many genocides happening all around the world at the moment, because it's all interconnected. My Māoritanga is impacted by the atrocities that have been going on. And especially, I really want to bring to light in 2021, the council had a moment against the rainbow community where we had a turf group come and book the museum. To much of the disapproval of the rainbow community, we couldn't get them kicked out of that venue because it is against current council policy, and they were more scared of a legal lawsuit happening than actually the safety of our trans and Takatapui whānau here. And while I do understand that Horiana's answer was we have intersectional Māori like myself who are Takatapui, who are tangata whaikaha, who actually need to see themselves and feel safe in these communities. So yeah, just wanted to highlight those.
Okay, Marion, what box number?
I'll just go with what I see. 22, please.
So choosing my birthday.
Oh, there you go.
It's all right, and it was the actual Labour Day of 1990 as well.
And we have question letter L for Lima.
Another phonetic alphabet one.
Thank you. How do you promote Māori wards to residents or ratepayers who see it as a costly and disruptive exercise with little benefit?
I think it's really important for us to, if I was on council, for council to lean into its partnerships and its partnerships as well. So doing joint comms strategies, either with iwi to provide education around the benefits of it, and two, being really smart about actually who would make the difference in terms of enrolling these views, and to really being embracing of Māori wards, as well as maybe it's some of our non-Māori organisations that would actually make the difference. I've been to Te Tiriti wānanga, actually, where they've been delivered by tangata tiriti, not Māori. It's been what's made the difference in actually enrolling them. So I think we just need to be really smart and definitely leverage those relationships, as well as also make our ensuring that we're a part of that education.
And we have a button from Donna.
Yes, I belong to New Zealand Outdoors and Freedom Party. I'm the co-leader there. And there are a number of reasons why I joined that party. They're very much kaitiaki, so they understand from a Māori worldview. Also, as a Māori leading that party, we have 24,000 members. And part of my role is to educate, inform, and to bring on board allies. Because we cannot achieve what we need to achieve on our own. We have to bring along our allies. And I can say that I'm actually doing that as we speak. And there are a lot of questions that have been coming out of my party in regards to Te Tiriti. What they're grateful for is some people just don't know, plainly don't know. So it's the ability to sit down in a safe place and explain to them a Māori worldview from a Māori lens. I think that's important. Kia ora.
Okay, we've got to you, Maria.
Okay, ka whiria e au te kaumārua for the name of the council in Kingitanga, number 12.
And we have question letter X for X-ray.
Another phonetic alphabet.
I don't know any other words that start with X.
Oh,
Now I know too. How do you plan to address the issue of affordable housing for young people and young families?
It goes back to relationships and what is already happening out there. We have organisations like Te Runanga or Kirikiriroa that have set up successful housing in partnership with external businesses without the help of council. We can't wait for council. If we all get on, or if one of us gets on, then definitely we will hold them to account. So it's about that networking, connecting with people that already have plans in place, that have the aspirations, that have the shared vision to ensure that there is safe, affordable housing, not just for young people, and not just for young people with families. Our kaumātua, those that are disadvantaged, everybody.
and just for some of the things about the phonetic alphabet, a good example is M for Mike, N for November. You can picture they on a radio that could go very, very wrong. So yeah, I'm used to it, but I did ATC cadet, so I kind of know all the phonetic alphabet. Plus, my dad does own 2 aeroplanes, little Pawnees. So yeah, you can guess it runs in the family, the phonetic alphabet. So when I hear it, I know exactly which one is. Oh, that's phonetic alphabet, but only the English one. I've not learnt any other countries' phonetic alphabets. Now, Donna, what box number? Yeah, the first working day after a Christmas long weekend. Oh.
And we have question letter O for open. In recent weeks, there have been code of conduct controversies in both Invercargill and Kirikiriroa Hamilton. Specifics aside, should sitting councillors have the power to trigger a vote of no confidence in elected members that removes them from council for the rest of the term?
Ooh, that's a very tricky question. The concern I have is that they were voted on. That's the concern that I have. And politics is controversial, right? That's why we're here. Not everybody's going to agree with everybody else. And if he was voted on, I think he has the right, or that person has the right to stay there. So it's a difficult one. I believe, yes, that there are code of conduct behaviour. Does that impede with freedom of rights in regards to freedom of speech and all those issues? So if they've been voted on, they should stay on. Kia ora. And let the public decide next time round.
Okay, Danielle, what box number?
23.
And we have question letter Y for yellow. How do you plan to address climate change and environmental issues at the local level?
Great question. The largest source of emissions in Kirikiriroa is private transport. So obviously, if we can actually invest in having options for people, obviously many people aren't able to move off using their cars for many reasons. But if we actually had safe and connected cycleways and walkways, then more people are more likely to do it. The reason why I'm scared of cycling is because I've been harassed going across Claudelands Bridge on a scooter, where I've had numerous motor car users yell at me, spit at me, and all these other things that have impacted my ability to even have a choice. So I think that we really need to actually help people change modes of transport. And I also really am proud of the work that our community groups have been doing in the gullies with all the restoration that has been going on. Our gullies suck up all the bad juju in the universe. So if we can keep, restoring our gullies, then we'd have a live in.
And just before we go on, this is my friend Tony, who provides us with our accommodation. You come up here, accessible bus stops. Who is keen to get Tim Shearbolt's concrete mixer out and fill the grass berm between the footpath and the road so that a wheelchair can actually go onto a bus? how many people would like to get all Hamilton bus stops made accessible? You know, yeah. Yeah, that's something I've noticed, whereas Wellington, it's about 99% are accessible bus stops. So for me, it's weird actually, you know, oh, there's an accessible bus stop. Oh, there's an accessible bus stop. Oh, there's an accessible bus stop. It's so weird.
Yeah, and I think that Jose talked about that earlier this year with the by-election for the general ward.
Yes.
And he talked about how council could make that a part of their maintenance and repair schedule, so that at least that is going to be happening, even if we don't just go around and get his concrete
Tony's
mixer.
second nearest bus stop's the accessible one, but that's only recently put in, but the nearest one is still not accessible. You know, but I mean that's was it Fairview Downs? Just to put some context in there. Maria, what box number?
Ooh, I will let the lovely Matariki choose.
We got question letter K for kaha. Do you support the 20-minute model for urban development? If not, why not? If you do, pick 2 centres or neighbourhoods to develop around this model and explain why those 2.
I think that the 20-minute model is a superb idea. At this very moment, and I've been doing this since I was a teenager, it takes 45 minutes to walk from one suburb to the next, except for the new, more affluent suburbs like Rototuna and Flagstaff. Bus stops are within less than 10 minutes walking distance. And I'd just like to pick out another characteristic of our gullies that suck up the juju in the universe. Absolutely, we need to do gully restoration. We have a whole network of them in Kirikiriroa. So why not develop a walkway along our gullies that we are going to restore, that we're going to plant native trees, that we're going to make sure that the water is clean, and also provide quicker access to those different spaces. So the 2 suburbs that I would choose, who I know that have extensive gully networks, is Melville, Glenview, around Peacocks Road, as well as on the other side of the city, because you've got to be fair, from the south to the east, which is the east side and Hillcrest.
Okay, Marion, what box number?
Oh, Matariki back again.
Age you have to be enrolled at school, because you don't actually have to start at 5.
I love your face.
Yeah.
And we
Some of them.
have question letter S for stars. Would you make any changes or introduce new measures to the City Council's funding model, i.e. a vacant lot tax, red light cameras, or calculating fines based on assets or income levels as they do in Norway?
Yes, I would, but within reason too. Like if I think about what we're currently dealing with cost of living, we need to be really prudent around what types of measures that we do create around city council funding models as well. So vacant lot tax, be a little bit sceptical about that. If you think of Waikato Tainui, who own a lot of or inherited through the redress mechanism a lot of Crown land back, it's through no fault of their own that some of those properties do sit vacant. So I wouldn't want them to be disproportionately impacted negatively because of funding models like that. So the short answer is yes. I think we just need to be really smart and considerate about the current environment we're in, and that it's inclusive of the diverse needs of Māori.
I want to throw some ideas out there. How many bus lanes are there in Hamilton?
Not enough.
Not enough? Because I do know that I worked out in Wellington, if they find one bus lane, 1 hour a day, they could net in $10 million a year from people who are breaking the rules, equivalent of a 2.5% rates reduction. So there are some very interesting things in there, but I mean, you know, that sort of thing there. But I do not suggest doing red light cameras and then changing the orange light to 2 seconds like they do in the United States, because those intersections are known for having very high crash rates. Yeah. Huriana, what box number?
Can I have 9?
But you can do red light cameras as a local council. You can do red light cameras. It's not just exclusive to the government.
We have question letter M from Matariki. Would you increase, decrease, or maintain the current number of councillors representative to the population? Are the current wards fit for purpose in your opinion?
When the Māori ward was introduced, there were 13 councillors, and I believe that we should have stayed with that number and had 13 councillors, including the Māori ward councillors, rather than adding 2 additional seats. I want to add, however, that I don't agree with the proposal that some councillors have made to spend $150,000 during our financial crisis on an early representation review now, when everyone's already budgeted for and scheduled for next year. And I think that's wasteful.
Okay. Danielle, what box number?
18.
Oh, yes, the current voting age.
And we have question letter V for
Victor?
very. Many candidates have predetermined absolute positions on some issues. How willing are you to be persuaded to take a different approach by evidence or public feedback?
What number?
Oh, V for very or Victor, I think you said.
Victor. Okay, I've got the wrong slide on the thing on there. Okay.
I can do both.
I've got a way to fix that.
I've now forgotten the question. Can I
and
just
that-
hold it?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, persuading. I'm all for an evidence-based approach. I think there has been a lot of misinformation and disinformation around the council table that has been incredibly concerning. But yeah, if you come to the table with evidence, it's kind of hard to negate those experiences or perspectives. And I also want to think of, in terms of public feedback, we really need to bring the most affected people to the decision-making table rather than making these decisions. And then things happen and then people are pissed off, rightly so, for things that have happened without them even knowing what's going on.
Okay. Marion, what box number?
That went around fast, didn't it? I actually can't see, so I'll let you pick it again.
And see, I could hardly guess the numbers, but then I could still be, I can't see what they've written from here. And I mean, I'm up to line, was it 5 on the left and line 6 on the right for my truck driver's license?
And we have question letter C for cat. Should the City Council lower the voting age to 16 in line with proposals from youth advocates such as Kirikiriroa Waikato MP Hana Rafiti Mai P. Clark?
Big fat yes. Yes. I think that rangatahi should be involved in decisions that affect their future. So that's the first thing. I think secondly too, it allows them to engage in local government and get them engaged and developed in that as well. I think just moreover it gives them the opportunity to impact decisions that impact them as well, to be involved in local decision making through voting.
Okay. Donna, what box number?
Number 3.
And we've got question letter U for Ua. What is your plan to reduce congestion and vehicle emissions?
I'm going to defer that question.
Who would you like to defer it to?
Horiana.
You get to ask more questions tonight.
Oh, I mean, I can answer it. It's going to be this.
Oh, that works. Yeah.
Is that like, oh, yeah. That's good.
Much of the congestion we currently have in the city has been created by design. Wakakotahi and Hamilton City Council policy documents have been pretty clear in stating that their intention is to disincentivise people from using their cars. In-lane bus stops cause congestion. Speed bumps cause congestion. Closing streets and removing car parks create congestion. I'm not sure how many of you saw the video in the Waikato Times where journalists accompanied a fire service crew around the city and experienced firsthand the impact that all of the speed bumps had on their ability to get to an emergency. The first thing I would advocate for in reducing congestion is for council to stop deliberately causing it.
Okay. Maria, what box number?
And we have question letter P for Porphyry. As a councillor, how would you balance investing in the city with financial prudence?
I'm going to defer because I do not have the base knowledge of that. I'm going to defer to our fire, who has been in this area for a very long time. That's you, Fire Donna.
I guess with the issue around uniform rates, it's about investing fairly. It's about investing in our poorer communities. As I've mentioned earlier, it's about upgrading our parks so that our mokopuna and our tamariki can call that space theirs. It's about creating, for me, sporting arenas. We have some really flash arenas, but they're not in our community. And we have some excellent up-and-coming sports players. So for me, it's not about investment, it's about equality and equity. And if my rates aren't going to my community, then it's going to their mates. And we got to sort that out. Kia ora.
Okay. Huriana, what box number?
15.
And it's question letter AA, like AA batteries. What would you do to support and promote arts and culture programs for young people in our community?
Okay. I work in media arts. I was recently part of the Zine Fest. I like to create things. I think it just adds so much value to everybody's lives and gives us opportunity to have a voice. And I'm interested in listening to everyone's voices. And so, you know, I saw Zine Fest as an opportunity to do that. We held workshops helping anybody in the community to come for free to do that. So I'd love to do that more and more and to be getting in touch with more of our rangatahi at Kira and throughout the community. I know there's heaps of places and spaces that we could do that, like in the community houses.
And just for those who are wondering, we have gone through 25 questions and we have every single candidate has had 5 questions each of the box picking. We do have 2 minutes remaining. So who would like to pick one box number and we'll make it a like the hard-hitting style so all the candidates answer. So what box numbers do we have available? Stacey at home, please pick a number. It was 4, 5, and 11. Stacey said number 11. And I've left the little bits that she said off there into my ear. Because you can probably guess what was said.
And it's question letter I, like for me, I myself.
India.
Would you support calls for the government to provide increased funding to local communities, i.e. by sharing a proportion of GST intake?
Who would like to kick off? Yep. Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at me? Sorry.
All of you. I don't mind who
I can
starts
go.
off.
Oh, I'll start. So yes, I would. I think it would reduce pressure on whānau having to pay extra rates. And everyone pays rates too. It's not just people who own homes. Renters pay for it as well, but you just see it hidden in the cost of your rental property. And I think, yeah, it supports sustainable Kirikiriroa growth as well.
Who wants to go next? Yeah, go.
Was it purposes? Yeah, I mean, this is in line with the local government New Zealand collective decision that they have been advocating with the government to actually get our GST back so that we can actually use that money instead of whatever big government wants to do. So yeah, absolutely support it.
Horiana?
Yeah, absolutely, because we've got things like our ageing water infrastructure that desperately needs attention. We're paying $150,000 in interest alone, 100% rates increase, so our people need it. So yes.
Absolutely. Housing is a major issue and local government can't do it on their own. A number of years ago, some of our local council housing were demolished and developers actually took over that space. It's a major concern. So working with central government, working with our communities, working with local governments and working with iwi to resolve the housing problem takes a let's all do it together approach.
Go ahead.
The majority of our challenges stem back to the government. So the government should take responsibility. And why should our everyday citizen get double taxed through income tax, triple tax, income tax, GST, and through rates? That is absolutely not fair. The responsibility should lay with government to provide the basic things, at least on a basic level, to support infrastructure, education, schools, roading. That should not be a local government's responsibility.
Thank you for that. Okay, let's go and take a quick break and then we'll come back for hard-hitting questions. Oh, that pesky mute key always keeps causing us problems. Well, we're back, and it's time for hard-hitting questions. Okay, and for hard-hitting questions here, these are the questions that all candidates get to answer, so they cannot use their button cards because they're going to be given an answer. Cannot use their defer cards because everyone's given an answer. So let's kick off with hard-hitting question number 1. And I better get a random list order sheet, otherwise I would not know exactly which candidate to call off first. Now, very fitting that we're in a Māori ward. What is your position on Māori wards, and how will you vote in the referendum on Māori wards, and why? Let's kick off with Maria.
Why bring something in and then take it away? You have to give it a chance to show that it can work. Māori make up 13% of the population of Aotearoa and also of Kirikiriroa Hamilton. We need a voice. We're tangata whenua. We need to restore the balance. We need to make sure that it's an even playing field and that there's equity at that table. Out of the 15 councillors that are in council at the moment, including the mayor, there is only one, obviously, Māori tangata whenua within that group. Now, that's not equity. We need to keep hold of the Māori wards, and I will be voting to keep them and saying yes to Māori wards.
Okay, Marion.
So yes, I will also be voting in favour of it. So a few things for me. So obviously honours te tiriti, especially around the principles of partnership, participation and protection. It ensures equitable representation as well, and it restores historical balances where Māori typically have been left out of decision making, local decision making. It also ensures that there is Māori voice at the table and that we are representing the views of our unique communities that only we can gain access to. It's also about community cohesion as well. So it does provide a bridging between non-Māori communities as well, just to share what our views are and help them to understand our worldview. And lastly, around diversification of views as well. So we provide a different perspective actually in terms of the benefits of Māori wards. So yeah, vote in favour of it.
Okay, Donna.
Yes, I tautoko what's been said. Look, we all fought really, really hard for Māori wards, and if we were to look at Te Tiriti, that's about partnership, and partnership is about 50-50. So we're not quite there yet. We're only at 2. But hoi anō, 2 is better than none, because at least we can see ourselves at the decision-making table. Really, really important to have mana whenua there, because the decisions made at local council level impact on mana whenua, impact on our marae, impact on our waterways. So if we don't have a mana whenua, I actually believe mana whenua should have their own ward, and the Mātā Waka have their ward. So why? Because there are different issues for mana whenua than there are for Mātā Waka. So we still have a long way to go, but at least 2, there's a start, there's 2. Kia ora.
Okay, Danielle.
Well, I fear that most of the talking points have been taken, so I will just say tautoko. And yes, I think it'd be very odd for me to go against Māori wards, unlike some political parties who want to be in Māori electorates and then get rid of them. But yeah, it's pretty in line with the activism that I've done, especially more recently with the submissions, even just through me and my mates garnishing about 3,000 people to make their submissions in support of Māori wards. So yeah.
Horiana.
I stood 3 times at council in support of Māori wards and the need for them. I was there the day that they rejected our kōrero and on the day that they reversed their decision. and created the ward that we are now standing for election in. And so I think it's pretty clear my position on Māori wards, 100% behind them, and how I would vote.
And something to put some context out there, we've had one keyboard warrior who clearly doesn't read bills, told us that Hamilton City Council should stop wasting their money and break the law. Well, they probably didn't think it was breaking the law, but was to not hold the by-election, but to sit there and flout it. Did they not read the Māori Wards referendum bill? There's nothing said about stopping Māori wards having by-elections. It was simply the fact it was to put out to a racist referendum, and also to extend voting periods by 2 weeks. But it didn't mention about changing anything of the other parts in the rules in there, which is also if there's a vacancy during a term more than 12 months away, the law states you must have a by-election. You do not have a choice in the matter. And it's only when it comes less than 12 months, councillors get a choice. And, well, that can always be interesting depending which council it is. I do remember one in Lower Hutt that went in one direction that ended up with a by-election but didn't want one. And in Wellington, they wanted the by-election and didn't end up with one because they felt it was the area of, 2/3 of the ward felt like they weren't represented if you aren't from Tawa, if that's something in there. But that's a bugbear from Wellington. Now, hard-hitting question number 2. Oh, this is a goodie. People claim councils need to focus on core business. Would love to know what people's definition of what they call core business, but is there anything I like and nothing I don't like? Good point. But the Local Government Act states part of that is to ensure the cultural well-being of our community. How do think? I'd love to know how we missed that word on there. How do you think Hamilton City Council can do better performing this function? There's a couple of words missing in there, but Marianne, you get to go first.
Okay, so I think one of the obvious ones is to continue to support Māori wards, ensuring that our voices continue to be included at the table. Secondly, too, that they take a responsibility in educating the whole of Kirikiriroa in terms of the benefits of, so we've already spoken about this, but it is pertinent to this, and that their relationship with iwi and mana whenua is not just as a stakeholder, but as a treaty partner. So that's, for me, a real obvious one. Support of Māori events as well, and not just for it to be seen as a cultural thing that sits over there by the side, because it lacks knowledge of actually the economic benefits that our events bring to the city as well. Take example, the Ako conference that's going to be on. You fellas are going to be at that. There's over 850 Māori that will be at that event. Just think about the economic benefits of that. So that's just some of the reasons why.
Okay, Huriana.
So a really obvious area to look at is the relationship our mana whenua and iwi have with the Waikato River. And so when we went to Hakanui Marae, we had an opportunity to hear from Ngāti Wairere about the different things that perhaps council could do. And one of those things was around getting developers to treat stormwater at source. And so when we think about that core business and cultural well-being, we can appreciate that doing right by mana whenua and iwi can do right by our whole community, and it's an opportunity for our developers to be rewarded for doing the right thing.
Okay, Danielle.
This is great because one of my priorities is to ensure that He Pau Manawa Order, the council's Māori strategy, is not put on the chopping block, because every single time some cut has been needed to be made, it's usually He Pau Manawa Order that's been at the forefront of that, and that's how we keep our city rich with the culture of the good and the bad things that have happened in this in the straw here. So making sure that we actually keep investing in He Paumanawa order and make sure it's always in the forefront of our minds when we make our decisions.
Maria.
Leading on from what Danielle said, there are three things I'd like to speak about, and that is He Paumanawa Ora, which is our strategic document that was done in partnership with our tangata whenua reps and our council as well. And those pillars are our touchstones, they are our values, they are our pukenga, pumanawa, our qualities, our strengths and our skills that we have as a collective to be able to move forward and paddle together, make sure that our waka, our canoe stays straight. The second one is Te Whare Tapawha. Te Whare Tapawha, created by Dr. Sir Mason Jury, addresses all sides of our being, the cultural, the physical, the spiritual, the mental, and the importance of whānau family. Now, if one pillar of our whare is shaky, then our whole house is going to fall down. So it's not just our cultural that we need to address, it's those all 4, 5 beings. And the one I'd like to add to the Whare Tapawha to make it taparima, which is the Pautoko Manawa, is the taiao, the environment.
Okay, Donna.
For me, it's really important that the resources are spent in our communities. Like I've said, I've been in Kirikiriroa for 30 years and there's been a lack of spend. So if council is serious about our community, they need to be serious about investment. I'm also part of Māori Women's Welfare League and we have our national conference here, and I think council needs to engage in those organisations. Māori Women Welfare League are about looking after our wahine and looking after tamariki. So it's a real privilege to be part of that kaupapa as well. And I still believe that mana whenua need their own seat around the table. Kia ora.
Thank you. Now let's get to hard-hitting question number 3. And this is very hot off the press. This week, well, it might have actually been last week when it happened. This week, the government decided to ignore all recommendations from the recent Future of Local Government report, which includes recommendations for even more Māori interaction with council. How do you think council can move forward to bring in more te ao Māori to governance? Let's kick off with Maria.
This question for me is similar to the last question. It's all about values that are good for everybody. There is a kōrero coined by Bentham Ohia. What's good for Māori is good for everybody. So we are here, yes, for the Māori ward, but we are here for everybody. And moving Kirikiriroa forward together as one. And Te Ao Māori, tonight is an example of how we could do things better to ensure that we acknowledge everybody in the room, that we open up with a karakia. Karakia is important because it sets our intentions. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't affiliate to a certain denomination. It brings us all centre focused in the present and the moment. And it acknowledges everybody here. So there's some real basic things that we can do from Te Ao Māori that we can bring into the to government. That's not just Māori focused, it's Indigenous focused. It's what tangata whenua around the world do. And we need to be careful how we use the terms mana whenua and tangata whenua. I'd like us to adopt the kōrero tangata whenua, because mana whenua is about law and who owns the land legally.
Okay, Huriana.
Council's spending the bare minimum to let whānau Māori know that we have a by-election happening, $1,000, but we carry on. Council decided to establish a Māori ward because it recognised the value of it. Like te iwi Māori, like our tupuna, we just have to carry on. We do what we can with what we have and let celebrations like Matariki prove that what is good for Māori, i.e. being represented at council, is good for everyone.
Danielle.
I think it's really important that council needs to look at their joint management agreements with mana whenua, with tangata whenua alike, because a lot of those committees are subcommittees. They're not even at the forefront of full council meetings. And if we were to, again, kind of take seriously the different thoughts and perspectives that mana whenua have in alignment with the treaty settlements, it's important that they actually get a seat at the full council table, not just to the side as an aspiration. So I think it would be really good to, see more work done in the joint management agreement space.
Marion.
Yeah, I support everything that everyone has said, and I think it, yeah, like Maria said, it's very similar to the first partai that was asked. I think one of the things that I would add is to make sure that, just a couple of things, make sure that our policies are reflective as well. I'd love council to ignore the government, but anyway, that's a whole nother question, a whole nother kaupapa. But, and the other thing is just to he pau manawa ora. Sometimes what can happen, my experience in the iwi space is our strategies are put there as a little brown strategy off on the corner. And what makes the difference is to actually ground the mahi of council inside of the strategy, and not have it be a tick box or an isolated strategy, but have it actually inform what's coming out of there, so it really does add value again. So I think that's a practical way. And two, it comes back to making sure that iwi and mana whenua is treated as treaty partners, not just so it's very decision-making based. It's what actually brought this to the table. So you just see the effectiveness of them.
Okay, Donna.
Yeah, gosh, there's such a lot in that one question. I was co-author for the treaty clauses for Auckland Council, and what was important about being part of that process is you went out to mana whenua and you also went out to mātāwaka, and I guess being part of your strategic council plan is important, because then it's got mana and it's got teeth. In regards to policies, I've worked with inside councils as well, and they become a strategic plan that can either be implemented or ignored. And so putting them up into our local government plans, be that district plan, city plan, or other standards, government standard plans where you have to implement certain policies. If we don't have them at that higher level, then they're not implemented. And also, for me, just before I finish, again, it's about where the money is spent. And if the money's not spent in our communities, then our communities are not going to participate. You start investing in our communities, and our communities will start investing in their community. Kia ora.
Now, we don't normally do this, but I've had 3 questions pinned on here. 2 of them I actually think were answered by questions that were actually in the boxes. But one of them is about free waters. Thank you, Stacey, for putting it up. Okay, so the question from Edward is, I'm not sure if it's however, would any candidates support free waters if it was ever presented again? Let's kick off with Maria.
Look, Nanaia Mahuta, who is one of our most long-standing ministers in Parliament, put in a lot of hard work getting Three Waters reform over the line, and got the mandate and the agreement and people on board to support Three Waters reform, and then in an instant it got taken away. As a result of the Three Waters reform, while we still had it, Te Mana o Te Wai fell out of that, where we had to have a national objectives for fresh water. Hea te me nui o te ao, he wai, he wai, he wai. It is water. Without water, you have nothing. So water is the biggest commodity that we have, and the Three Waters framework was the most researched, well presented, well socialized strategy that we have had to date. So yes, I would support it 100%.
Donna.
For me, it's about localism, and it's local communities. It's our marae. Our marae knows exactly what's happening around the whenua, around the wai. We come from Te Puaha Waikato, so our tupuna is a priority for us, and we want mana whenua. So I'm secretary for Huakina Marae Forum, and it is about looking after our tupuna. And those marae that are on the awa know exactly what's happening on the awa in that space. For me, it's about dealing with the issue at a local level. Kia ora.
Okay. Marion.
Yeah, so I definitely would have supported it and would support it too if it came up again. Nanaya's well researched, well informed on it, and she fought hard for it, and it was a really practical solution for some of our water infrastructure issues that we're dealing with and will continue to deal with, because that's no longer on the table. And I think to talk to the point too about mana whenua being involved in the management of wai as well, that's why it was a really good model as well, is because it was a co-governance model. And, that's why it also worked, because it included the voices of community and mana whenua in the decisions that impact their wai. So that's another reason why I would be totally supportive of it.
Danielle?
Yes, I would and did support Three Waters. It's really upsetting now that we talk about how much everything is costing now, and now we have to front the bill for all the water infrastructure. So it would have been really great to have that support from central government, but now we have to bite the bullet and increase rates just to be able to have clean water and our sewage not going into the river and all those really important things. Yeah, so it's really been upsetting to see the decision change.
Yeah. Horiana?
Yeah, I like Danielle's talking about our fiscal situation right now has everything to do with our Three Waters situation. And so hindsight lets us know that actually we should have all been 100%. What's good for Māori is good for everyone, and appreciated that then and there and got in behind the Three Waters.
Thank you. Now let's go for a lighter question before we get to closing statements. I run a coffee cart called Bean Here. It sells coffee. If you were to come to Bean Here, what type of coffee you would buy? Horiana, would you like to kick off?
Same as earlier this year, hot chocolate.
Danielle?
Because coffee carts sometimes don't do this, do you do iced coffees?
Yes.
I would have an iced Americano with a splash of caramel.
Ooh. Marianne?
Coconut latte.
Oh, heck. Yeah. You're welcome to take a seat over here. Donna?
I'm a herbal tea girl myself.
Maria?
I'm the same as our whai here, peppermint tea. However, I am a bit partial to a caramel latte with oat milk too.
You join me on this side. Peppermint
hot
tea is
chocolate.
probably the tea I always have in Auntie Susie's. Yeah. So, yeah, no. Okay, well, that's interesting. On our way up, we stopped at Jailhouse Coffee in Wairau. I had both Nick and I had coconut mochas. So just to put some... so if you're in Wairau, on your way to and from south of Wairau, for this area, or for us north of Wairau, go see my friend Linda at Jailhouse Coffee. It's a little bit closer than trying to see me at Bean Here, which I will be on Saturday morning at Newtown Market, and fingers crossed the Governor General could walk down and get a coffee from Government House, because I probably would be the hospital actually will be the closest one for the coffee if she walked out the back gates. But yeah, effectively, yeah, I'll probably give you the decent coffee though. Yeah. Okay, so it gets to the final part of the show, closing statements. And was it each candidate gets 1 minute on why they should get their number one, why you, the voter, should give them their number one preference vote? Horiana, you get to go up first.
Kia ora e te whānau, ko Horiana Henderson tōku ingoa, and I'm asking for your number one vote for the Kirikiriroa Maori ward. My whānau live here, I grew up here, I love the city, I care about it, and I want to serve our community. I know I can do that. I love Te Tiriti, I care about our city's fiscal situation, and I care about the well-being of our people. And I'm asking our whānau to get out there and vote. It's so important. We hikoi, we protest. At first we were denied a Māori ward. We had to go fight for it. They heard the value of it. Now it's time for us to prove the value of it and to just make our vote count. Ko Horiana Henderson tōku ingoa, your number one candidate for Kirikiriroa Maori ward.
Okay, Donna.
Oh, kia ora anō e te whānau, kia ora te whare. For me, it's really about who can hit the ground running. I've worked in local government. I understand the process. I understand what's required. And I've shared before that it's really important to to look at the policies, to look at the regulations that are coming down, and making sure that you understand not just to discern what's going to happen, but the impact that actually is going to happen on our people. I'm not afraid to stand. I'm not afraid to speak. It takes courage to actually stand for your local government. It's not an easy thing for us to do, but we're all advocates. We advocate for our whānau. You've got a really amazing choices here. So you're not going to go wrong. Who are you going to choose for? I'm just going to say, choose me as your number one. I've got that auntie factor. And sometimes you need to have those aunties in the house. Kia ora.
Danielle.
Kia ora. I hope that through these pārtai and my answers that it's kind of articulated my values and where I stand on really important issues that are happening for our whānau and for our hapori. I have 3 priorities. The first is obviously to honour Te Tiriti, and that is specifically through He Poumanua Order, which I spoke about earlier today. My second is future-proofing our infrastructure. Climate change is here, and we need to make sure that every single time it hits winter and we get mass amount of flooding, that it doesn't actually happen. And lastly, I want to ensure that rangatahi have a city that they feel seen in and they feel like they're being heard. So I want to see a targeted engagement strategy for our rangatahi, for our Māori whānau, and for any other marginalised communities on all citywide proposals. I'm young, I'm ready to hit the ground running. I've been involved in local government for what feels like a long time, but it's only been 6 years. So I'd really love your number 1 vote this election. Kia ora.
Okay, Maria.
Ko te amorangi kimua, ko te hāpai o Kimuri, ko te tūturutanga mahipono o te mana Māori motuhake. Simply translated, to lead is to serve, and to serve is to lead. And that whakatauki was one whakatauki that my grandfather, Te Kenana Witeto Huata, was an advocate for. Whether I am in front, whether I am in back, side to side, I'm here to serve and to lead when the reason calls. My tupuna, my ancestors brought me here, so who am I to say no to them? I need to be a good ancestor, a good tupuna. I also need to be a good mokopuna for the legacy that my grandparents, Witeto Huata, Heni Ngā Kai Ibao Tamona, on my kahungunu side, who lived in this town for a very, very long time and served across the district. It said that my grandfather either married you or buried you. Also my tupuna on my mother's side, Eric and Charlotte Pepish, who helped to build Kirikiriroa Maori, Hui Te Rangi Ora Marae, and Purekiriki Marae. My blood runs deep in the Pirongia, and all around.
Okay, and Marion.
Kia ora anō e te whānau. So for me, I shared my opening statement, so I won't repeat that. But I think what's there for me, you can't go wrong with all of the māreikura here as well. We've been spoilt for choice. I think the thing for me and why I stepped up, because I had to ask myself, how could I be effective in making a difference? So first thing for me is reliability. So I will turn up to the hui. Respect as well, and respect and recognition for our mana whenua, our iwi, and our diverse mātāwaka family as well, making sure that their voices are included. The other thing is the relatedness. I'm really keen on speaking simple language to our whānau throughout this period so that they can actually connect to the importance of council, what it is, and why it's important for them to vote as well. That's the kaupapa of Māori wards. And also big on relationships as well. So I've worked in these spaces with councils and been effective at creating initiatives. So I think it's important that moving forward, we're building relationships with council members and our community so that they're in support of Māori wards and how Māori can benefit the whole of Kirikiriroa.
Thank you. Okay, and just a little bit of housekeeping. When it comes to voting, remember you're using the voting system single transferable vote, and on this situation there is a single vacancy. I've got to get it right because this council has more doesn't have single member wards, but whoever is going to win this by-election will have at least 50% of the vote plus 1. So when it comes to your voting paper, don't just think about who your number 1 vote is going to go for, but also who your number 2, your number 3, your number 4, and you can go all the way up to 8. so you can actually work out to sit there and do it. Because the thing is, with single transferable vote, when the bottom when there isn't enough to get to 50%, the bottom candidate is eliminated and their second preference votes are redistributed, and that keeps that process going until the final iteration where the winner has 50% of the vote plus one. Now, some interesting factors to look at. The 2019 local body elections in Wellington, Justin Lester lost the election on that last iteration thanks to second preference votes from other who went to other candidates first. That made Andy Foster go on top. So just remember, you know, second, third, fourth preference votes are just as important as that number one. But make sure you put the number one on the ballot paper, otherwise the machine does not read it as a valid vote. That is something I always will sit there and say there. Now, if any of you have been watching on here, It's in the Ballot is an independent non-profit that is based on, mainly funded from its members, but small dollar donations do help. If you are on online, you can head to our website, it'sintheballot.nz, and click on the donation section. There is a QR code sitting on our screen up there that takes you to our Give a Little page. And if you're in studio here, we don't mind taking cash, which is king, or my coffee cart being here does have an FPOS machine here. So yes, if you want to on that one there. And just for those who may have been watching from different parts of the country but like our content, this Saturday and Sunday, Tauranga City Council's local body elections will be rerunning all the episodes that we had on Saturday and Sunday. If you want to wait for the mayoral debate at 7 p.m. Sunday night. But their polling closes in 2 Saturdays' time. So if you're in that area, make sure you get your ballot papers in. And for here, voting starts, it's Tuesday next week? Yes, yep. And and make sure when you get your voting papers, you get out there. If you're unsure, tune into It's in the Ballot. We can sit down there and provide you some brilliant candidates with their opinions. I believe there's also another meet candidates also did a live stream as well. Glenview, yeah. Oh, that hasn't happened yet. Okay, yep, no. If there's so look at all these tools out there. As I say, don't just watch It's in the Ballot. If we've got other options out there, look at them as well. You never know what you can find out. What gets asked on here might not be asked what's elsewhere. So doing that. So from here at the It's in the Ballot skeleton team, as we can sit there and call it, Nick, you've done a very good job tonight doing 2 jobs. It's quite intriguing just watching it, and it worked brilliantly. And thank you to Stacey, who's been doing all our remote editing from Wellington. Thank you so much for sitting there doing this. And it's quite scary that we've managed to pull this off effectively with a core team of 3. And thank you, Martiniki, for stepping in as our question host tonight to sit there and do that, as my arms can't quite reach that table over there, and I don't quite want to look like a mad person running up and down the stage all night long. So, So, yes, from us, have a good evening, and if you're on Saturday, we'll look forward to watching the live stream. Thanks for that, and good night.